On January 23, 1960, two men climbed into a steel submersible and began a descent to the deepest known point on Earth. A place no human had ever reached, and few machines had ever been built to survive. Nearly 5 hours later, they arrived at the bottom of Challenger Deep, almost 7 miles beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean. The submersible was called the Trieste, and the two men aboard were Swiss oceanographer Jacques Piccard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh. Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench near Guam, sits at a depth of nearly 36,000 feet, making it the deepest point in any of Earth's oceans. To put that in perspective, if Mount Everest were placed at the bottom of Challenger Deep, its peak would still sit more than a mile underwater. The Trieste wasn't built like a typical submarine. It was a bathyscaphe, a design that relied on a large flotation chamber filled with gasoline, which is lighter than water and doesn't compress under extreme pressure the way air does, attached to a small, heavily reinforced steel sphere where the crew actually sat. The descent took nearly 5 hours, and the crew had to manage the vessel carefully the entire way down, since even a minor structural failure at that depth would have been catastrophic and unrecoverable. At full depth, the water pressure pressing in on the Trieste's hull was estimated at over 16,000 pounds per square inch, more than 1,000 times the pressure found at sea level. About 3/4 of the way down, at roughly 30,000 feet, the crew heard and felt a loud cracking sound throughout the vessel. It came from one of the outer window panes, which had developed a fracture under the extreme pressure. Piccard and Walsh had a critical decision to make: abort the descent and attempt to return to the surface, or continue toward a record-setting depth in a vessel that had just shown a structural weakness thousands of feet from the bottom of the ocean, in a location where a full failure would almost certainly have been fatal. They chose to continue. They reached the bottom of Challenger Deep at 1:06 p.m. According to their own accounts, they spent only about 20 minutes at the bottom before beginning their ascent, largely due to concerns about the cracked window and limited visibility, since their descent had stirred up fine sediment that clouded the water almost immediately upon arrival. In that short window, Piccard reported seeing what he described as a flatfish, similar to a sole, resting on the ocean floor, along with a shrimp-like creature. This observation was significant at the time because it suggested that complex, multicellular life could exist even at that extreme depth, a question that hadn't been definitively answered before their dive. That specific observation has remained a point of debate among marine biologists in the decades since. Some researchers have questioned whether the sediment, poor visibility, and pressure of the moment could have led to a misidentification, since no photographic evidence exists to confirm exactly what Piccard saw, and no similar fish has been conclusively documented at that depth in the studies that followed. Piccard maintained the account for the rest of his life, and it remains an open question rather than a confirmed or fully disproven fact. After Piccard and Walsh's dive in 1960, no human being returned to the bottom of Challenger Deep for the next 52 years, until filmmaker James Cameron completed a solo dive to the same location in 2012. In the decades between those two dives, humanity sent multiple missions to the surface of the moon, but only 2 people had ever been to the deepest point of our own planet's oceans.